Hi, Lillian. Welcome to our discussion today. I would just like to introduce Lillian for our viewers. Lillian Pais is a civic activist based in Bandra. She's very much interested in waste management and other civic issues and has been very active even during elections and takes up all the other civic issues that affect our cities. So, Lillian, thank you very much for joining today. It is a real pleasure to have you. Um,
Thanks, Prachi. My pleasure.
I will also introduce, I'm Prachi Pinglay. I'm the chapter editor for Mumbai for Citizen Matters. Without wasting much time, Lillian, I'd like to start our conversation.
Yeah.
Um, the topic is waste management and Mumbai. And just very recently, we had reports about how the Mahim beach was flooded with the garbage once the monsoon kicked in. So this is something that we see every year, like our Marine Drive or other beach fronts, they get flooded with garbage every time the sea kind of throws it all out, right? So, and it's a very evocative image, I think, for everyone to see, like, this is what it's all about, sort of a thing. So, the very first question to you, what is really not working out when it comes to garbage collection, segregation, and disposal? How do you look at it? Because our landfills are not, we are not increasing the capacity of it, right? So,
That's
uh,
it.
yeah. So, what is really the biggest challenge in this you feel?
So basically, since you talked about Mahim Beach, I just wanted to say that actually it's all our fault because we are not disposing our waste correctly. And there may be so many nalas and little brooks and creeks which go into the sea, and garbage is being dumped there unceremoniously. And people just think that that they want to dispose their garbage at any time that they want to do it. They do not want to cooperate with what the timings that are being given to them by the BMC.
Mm,
And low income pockets, this is also very rampant, especially because they have got small housing and they cannot keep the waste inside their house, so they need to put it somewhere else, and so either it's on the road or it's in a nala, whichever is closer to them. The thing is that all this opens out to the sea, and then when there is the tide comes in, it brings everything back to us for us to again dispose. So this is like a vicious cycle. So I know that there are loopholes in everything, and there are some things that don't work from the BMCN, and there's something that doesn't work from the citizenry as well. So it is only a joint effort that can be, if it's sustained, that it can happen. There is some amount of responsibility involved from our end also to hand over the correct waste to the correct collection. So a little bit of lack of education. On the other side, BMC does not have a regular service. So when it's the monsoon, there is such a laid back service because when they take the trucks to maybe the place where they change to other tracks that go to the landfill. So at that transfer station, there is always some delay in the trucks coming back, and then there's never smooth collection. Also, the ASRA in our ward, in HPAS ward, they are deputed agency for collecting the dry waste. They don't always have these small little vans. So they are dependent
right.
on BMC who's giving them the vans. So suddenly they have a dustbin distribution, the vans are recalled. That means on that day, whoever was getting the garbage clearance for dry waste does not get it. So, this is like a repeated thing.
Mm,
So instead, they should just get them to uh, ASA to actually source out and get their own vans, and then they would be able to give you a complete service. But
mm,
because of what's happening and the dependency on BMC vans, they are not being able to actually provide the service in a efficient manner. So these are things which they need to work in and understand what is lacking in the system. They need to come together, and we as citizens, we are always very willing to meet with the top brass of BMC and decide. I also feel very strongly about one thing is that all these dictates have been given to us citizens, but I find sometimes when I talk to people who are in the BMC, they don't even know segregation themselves. They have no idea that whether their wives are doing it at home, because they don't know even whether they are doing it at home. So
mm,
it's like a pointless kind of thing. Like, they need to be completely themselves as individuals, attune to the system, understand the system, accept the system. It doesn't matter which department you belong to.
You
You
know,
should know what is going on.
correct. I know that you do interact with the BMC officials quite a bit. So, because it cannot be done in isolation, right? It has to be done
Absolutely.
together.
Absolutely.
So, what has been your experience when you kind of interact with them about these issues? Like from lower to higher, like, what is their,
So some
uh,
things are in their control, some things are not in their control. And
hmm,
some things, like the municipal commissioners, one after the other, have said no
hmm,
fining and penalizing people. Let's educate. But for how long are we going to keep educating? There's
right,
this one person out of like 1,000, or I don't know how many people will be actually fined.
hmm,
So, they're talking about bulk generators, restaurants having to compost their own waste. Then they went to that part where people, the bulk generators like clubs, started doing their composting. Now
hmm,
nobody's composting, nobody's gone back to check on them. So,
hmm,
this entire process, they start really good initiatives,
hmm,
but there is no follow up.
hmm.
There's no consistency in anything that is being done.
You
So,
feel
as a result, the
there
city
could be
is
better
not.
vigilance, and there should be some kind of punitive action, I think, is what you're saying.
There should be something in place. And I also just want to say this very clearly
Mm.
to the citizens, that it does not mean that because you are the waste generator, you
Mm.
are responsible for your waste, you do not need each individual to be policed.
Right.
We should be socially responsible, and we should know this is what we have to do, and this is what we do. If, believe me, if they were in another country, they wouldn't even dare to do what they're doing.
Mm.
But because they know they can get away with it here, and there's always the system is so slack, that they keep doing it.
Mm. We
So if
checked,
people want solutions, they can. Sorry.
yeah, no, I said, yeah, you're right, because we checked, we did a series on garbage segregation and all that. And a lot of times people told us that most of the housing societies, they don't really segregate, or even if they do, it is not really taken to its, like it doesn't go into recycling plants at all. And, dry waste is
So
not, yeah.
the issue in societies is this: everybody wants to do their bit, everybody
Mm,
knows about global warming, everybody knows that they should try to minimize their waste. Basically, I would say shop less. But
mm,
okay, you can't help it. When you order something online, there'll be 10
yeah.
companies who will send you packages. It'll come from different warehouses, and they'll all be packaged, and there's so much of packaging, so much of dry waste. Okay, so what their solution is, they need to look at that. But
Mm,
what we are doing also in societies, like, if you say a complete chain where your waste from your house
mm,
to the BMC should go in a segregated fashion,
mm,
the best way possible is everywhere. If you are doing waste segregation, say maybe three ways:
mm,
one is wet waste, dry waste, sanitary waste.
yeah.
Suppose this is the model a society is forming. In each one's household, there should be three containers
Mm,
to take the same. If you are segregating, you have to have the correct number of containers, and the
mm,
correct thing has been put in the correct containers.
mm,
When the person, the housekeeping staff, comes to your house, he has to come also with three containers.
mm.
If he does not come with three containers, he's mixing it at that point.
Right,
And we who have taken all this trouble, our waste is mixed.
right.
And so most of the people, they go out to work, they are
Mm,
keeping the waste outside the doorstep, and they're going off to work. So they
correct.
don't know that this guy has not brought the three. They've taken it back downstairs, and now again in the society, you are supposed to have labeled bins. So if you are doing this waste segregation, wet, dry, and sanitary, again you need to have three containers which are properly labeled,
Mm,
and the waste has to be put directly into those. Most people tell me that we are segregating our waste.
mm,
BMC is mixing, but they don't know that between their house and the actual collection, they themselves have mixed it up. So
mm,
I know plenty buildings who I visited. They are all segregating. Their
mm,
members know every detail of what was where,
mm,
and they are also doing it. And only issue is they are putting all their wet waste in a plastic bag. The
mm,
plastic bag is being tied and handed over to the garbage collector.
correct.
Plastic is not biodegradable. And
Right.
unfortunately, even when you use the plastic, which is biodegradable bags,
Yeah.
they are not really accepted by the BMC, because each of these, depending on how much you spend for it,
Yeah.
the the way it degrades can go from anywhere from one
Many.
week to maybe 2 years or 1 year.
Yeah.
So it depends what bags you're using. So they don't even want to accept those bags because they
Mm.
do take time in the landfill.
Mm.
The thing is that some of us do it in paper, in the
Mm.
plastic bucket at home. It goes directly. So the
Mm.
main issue is this plastic bag. So
Right.
what is the solution to that? Why? What can we do? I mean,
Mm.
I know it's a couple of people who have told me they found the solution of whenever they do their meat or chicken or fish, they take all their waste, they put double bag it, or they
Mm.
put it in a box and they put it in the freezer.
Mm.
And when before their boy comes to their house, they empty that out and they
Right.
give it so that they are
Correct.
not punished with all these smells that they don't like.
Correct. Correct.
So, I mean, that is one person's solution. But it
Right.
could be another person's solution. By, I mean, if they just hear this, they may think, oh, wait, that's a good idea. It's in
Right.
a box. It's not disturbing the rest of my food. I can put it. I just took it out from the freezer.
Right.
It's not like it's mixed with anything else. Then the
Right.
other thing is you wrap it in paper and put it in your wet waste,
Mm.
cover your bin. There are so many things you can do on your own. So accordingly, the pickups also in the buildings are generally at different odd timings. And so then people who don't are not able to give their food waste, they don't keep it in the house, they end up throwing it somewhere. And the
Somewhere.
somewhere is always sadly on a street. Like if you
Right.
put these
Mm.
coconut fronds on a footpath, you will find somebody will sling garbage on it. So we are
Right.
not even that conscious. We know that that's a coconut frond, it's garden waste. So we will just dump our garbage there, dump bags of debris. There are so many things that we do which is
Right.
just not right. And if we do it on somebody else's road, not even on our own road, because we don't want to get caught. So
True.
these are things, and we know because people have CCTV everywhere nowadays.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to pick the person. But,
Right.
who's going to do anything about it besides you as a local educating the person? It's a full mindset that you're trying to change.
I remember that you had this near the Jewish cemetery, that entire garbage collection thing was
Yes.
sorted out by your group. Yeah,
Yes.
I remember
So
that.
we intervened on two places. One is St. Peter's Road,
Mm.
and one is the trustees had approached us for the garbage outside Kadeshwari, the Jewish
Mm.
cemetery,
Yeah.
and we got a lot of locals on board.
Mm.
Then we asked the cemetery people to please let us spend on CCTV. So
Mm.
we put two cameras on the cemetery, and they were pointing to different directions, so we could get the footage of whoever was coming there. Then
Mm.
we asked the BMC to come on board, and then we
Mm.
put them into the group, and they deployed a nuisance detector, which is commonly known as an ND.
Mm.
And they put really good people there. There was a lady and a man, and they did it in
Mm.
shifts. Okay,
Mm.
there was nobody in the beginning for the night, and then finally they were covering everything, and they were even talking to locals and
Mm.
asking them to help them out in the times when they were not there. So it
Mm.
was such a
It
perfect
really worked well, no?
collaboration.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was such a good collaboration, and the
Mm.
officer we had was the most amazing. I must
Mm.
take his name. His name is Mr. Kunde.
Mm.
He till today, I think he has done about some more than 10 dumps has been cleared from Bandra with
Mm.
his sole initiative. These two may have been with
Wow.
us citizens, but that is on his own. He said, "That's my job. I'm here for
Right.
that." So whatever was created by previous officers were actually removed by him.
Right.
So he is working tirelessly and endlessly, and he's got a way about it. So
Mm.
he's getting it all done very efficiently. So we were very successful, 100% successful at Kadeshwari. In fact, I still have the CCTV on my phone. So in case there's a
Right.
problem, we can all go back to it. Then we
Mm.
also did St. Peter's Road, but St. Peter's Road has got a different problem because there are so many roads that come to it,
Mm. Yes.
and there's a lot of garbage is generated from the waste from the market. So we've done a door to door, meaning as in from shop to shop, and as many houses and people we could connect with. We have
Mm.
informed them. We have informed them through the church, through
Mm.
announcements, through articles in the Keystone magazine of this church.
Mm.
A lot of work went into doing this, and at ground level, we had the 100% support of the BMC.
Mm.
Again, the same officer, Mr. Kunde, he
Mm.
worked so well with the same NDs, and it was a tireless effort, but they did it. Now, after a long break, we get one or two people still coming out to throw their garbage. But they are the people, they may be new residents, they may be people who don't know, or maybe there's be stubborn people who need to be again told. And there was really no fines. They were really only education, and
Mm.
it did work in both places.
You know what you mentioned about how you went about in these two cases. If other citizens were to do something collectively, what would you kind of tell them? I mean, I wanted to save this question for the last, but because since you're talking about civic interventions, what can people really do?
I think collaboration is the best. I
Hmm,
mean, we have anything that we have done which is in collaboration with
hmm,
citizens and the administration has really never failed. Whether it is even
right.
in the traffic department, we got a good joint CP traffic, and we are having such positive vibes from even traffic department. So
Hmm,
it does not matter what, you have to go with a clean mind. I think I personally feel that composting is very important. You either do it at your house level,
hmm,
generate your own compost for your own potted plants, or do it at your society level.
hmm,
People always complain that it stinks. It is not that it stinks. I will just make a small comparison. Like suppose you don't have a bath for 3 days, you will stink. So because you've not taken care of yourself, you have not given your put yourself out there to go and have a shower.
hmm,
But if it's the same thing, if you do not look after whatever project you start, it will end up in some other state. So
right.
if you are supposed to look after it on a daily basis, you have to tumble your container,
Hmm,
or you have to check it, or you have to whatever. That time, that dedication has to be there. Whether you have to deploy somebody to do it, or
hmm,
somebody from the society actually goes and does it themselves, who's interested. But you cannot say it does not work. It will
hmm.
work. It will not work only if you are not
In it
doing anything. It will
properly.
not work. If you are doing something, it will work. So
Hmm,
it is very simple. Some of the schools and churches here, Bandra and in Bandra, like St. Joseph's and St. Peter's, they're generating so much of compost. They don't know what to do with it. But
hmm,
you have to look at the bigger picture.
right.
They don't know what to do with it. They're giving it to the people in the community. They are reaching out to people who are using it. But look at the amount it's not going to the landfill at all. They
Right,
need to be really applauded for what they're doing,
right.
because this is like, you're doing such a yeoman service to this, to the city, because
Yeah.
that's so much less waste, sorry, to the landfill. And even they have got a container at St. Peter's Church where they've been given instructions. You clean your plastic container, wash it at home, and bring it, and you deposit it here, and we will have it collected. So people are quite enthused by that. They actually wash all their plastics, they come and they deposit in that container.
Mhm.
The idea is to
That's
wash and keep, okay, on one side there won't be any smell in the church compound, but on the other side, just look at it, that value of that plastic is much higher.
yeah,
Even the recycler will get much more money for it.
correct,
And
correct.
who are recyclers?
Mm,
They are like mostly the people, like in case of Asra, they are people who are rag pickers,
mm,
and they rag pickers are the pillars of this
yeah,
industry. If they were not here, I believe me, every little city, like Bandra would have had their own landfill. Everybody would have their own landfill.
correct.
But because they have been collecting waste over so many years, so we need to be a little more conscious about what we can do for the city.
Yeah. You know what I wanted to kind of allude to here is, which you referred to in passing earlier, but the whole idea of composting or, basically minimizing our own waste, I wanted to juxtapose that with how much there are two waste generators that I wanted to discuss here. One at individual level is all the shopping that we do online and all the packaging that comes with it, and the disposables we have been using increasingly over a period of time. So one is that I wanted you to address, and second is the larger, where you said that, Mumbai is in throes of redevelopment right now, so the amount of construction debris that is being generated, um I don't know how you would like to discuss these two. I mean, we can you can talk about the individual level first, and we'll take the construction debris later.
So regarding the driveways we are talking about, basically
Hmm.
whatever you refer to the plastic
How does one
containers,
really
everything.
minimize it, no? I mean, or reduce it,
So
yeah.
minimizing is now we have to be more conscious. We all know that eating out is not a very healthy option. So
Right.
if you want to do it, you should minimize and do it once in a way. Actually, going to the restaurant and sitting, you're not bringing the plastic home. You
Mm.
don't have that. Some people may not want that option, they may bring it home. Then when you get the container home, you recycle it till as much time as you can,
Mm.
and before you dispose it, so that at least it has reached some point of life and it's not gone straight to the landfill.
Mm.
So if you also, the other thing is, if you don't want it and you want to dispose it, then wash it and put it into your dry waste, so
Okay.
that at least the recycler can have some benefit from that. Now,
Mm.
the other lot of people who are not very happy with this entire situation will tell you, oh, we are using water, and
Mm.
water is to be, but for everything you need water.
Correct.
So we can't keep on, if we keep on isolating all these things, you
Oh,
will not get anywhere in anything, and the city will be just one big
correct.
landfill. So
Correct.
we need to actually, you know, mentally we need to convince ourselves that we are part of the solution or part of the problem. If we convince ourselves that we are the solution, we will automatically fall in line with whatever's there in the system.
Right.
And
Right.
people always ask me, sometimes when you speak, you sound like you're working for the BMC, and they are all corrupt and they are doing all the wrong things,
Mm.
and it sounds like you're working for them. I said, I'm not working for them, but there are so many things that we should be doing as citizens, and it matches up with what they are doing. It's just that they are getting no cooperation from us.
Mm.
So we need to cooperate with the system at some point to help them. Of course, what things that go wrong and about the transportation and the pickup service not being regular, that is something they really need to take up, because if they want to actually make an impact, they
Mm.
have to have a foolproof system. So
Right.
they started some time ago offering incentives, 5% if you segregate, another 5% if you're
Yes.
composting, and then
Mm.
rainwater harvesting, and they threw all this at us. And then not a single person is even receiving any benefit. And so then what happens to the citizen? You
Mm.
start, you do, you spend, you invest in all these things, and then you just falls flat. And this
Mm.
this relief also was only on the general tax component. It was not on the entire bill, obviously. So
Right.
when you looked at it, it was just a very minuscule amount. Now, when
Mm.
people have to pay a lot for infrastructure, it's a one-time expense. And there are so many companies who are giving CSR. So people need to avail of these things. People need to come on
Mm.
board. People need to start understanding what there are so many companies, recycling companies, who
Mm.
are willing to come to your area, pick up the dry waste from the entire street, pick up the electronic waste. It just means you have to segregate. At the
Right.
end of the day, if you don't do your bit as an individual,
Mm.
nothing is going to happen.
Lillian, if you could talk to us about the construction debris, which is becoming a big issue in Mumbai at the moment, with so many redevelopment projects and infrastructure projects going on. How do you really look at this challenge?
It's very challenging because the disposal is very difficult. We are talking like, we talk on our just local basis, like on our families and our homes. We undertake some little construction work, maybe just a change in bathroom. We never stop to ask our contractor, how are you disposing my waste? He, on the other hand, what he does with the waste is anybody's guess.
Hmm.
These ladies that go around, we call them the hand cart ladies. So they take debris from these small contractors. They take these bags on their little hand carts, and there were 4 or 5 of them who
Hmm.
will be rushing with these hand carts, and they will deposit it at any lamppost, any of the street lights. They deposit there, or wherever there is some garbage, or if there is some tree trimmings, they dump it over there. So they may be getting a pittance for this. Maybe even if it is 500 for a cart or 400 for a cart, they are willing to accept it because they have a simple job just running around and just depositing it elsewhere. But then the thing is that I am the generator. I don't know what happened to it, and I have littered the city. So people are not even aware that BMC has a collection.
Hmm.
So they have a service where you can actually, and it's a very reasonable service. So actually, we should even tell our contractors that please utilize this service. So at least the debris go to the areas where they are being put for either claiming land or whatever project uh, is requiring debris. So this would be a great thing if that can be passed on to citizens. Now they have come up with the debris app.
Hmm.
There are so many apps now in BMC. There's the
Right.
My BMC app, which is the main one, which you can pay all your bills, and you can also make complaints. Plus, they got one for waste management. They got one for now for debris. They got one for my waste, for wet waste. So the thing is that nothing is integrated. The whole system is
Mm.
not integrated into one. You have it all in one place, one app. If I have to download one app for development plan, one app for my wet waste, one for my dry waste, I mean, I'm going to have my phone full of apps just to do
Right.
one thing which I could have done with directly with the BMC. So with the
Right.
BMC should come up with just one app. You just click on whatever you want, you make your complaint, and it's all. The online portal also is there, the BMC website.
Mm.
You can raise complaints there. And the thing is, by doing it online, you also get complaint numbers. If you
Right.
just call up an officer, you don't get a complaint number. So then you have to just follow up with him and let him clear it. But for the system to actually work, you need to. I was talking to another colleague of mine who's very good at all this digital work. He said, his name is Mario actually. So he said that if you don't log in your complaint, then there is no tracking for the complaint. They
Right.
can't come up with what are the complaints in that particular area or how they are collating it on a larger scale by that particular department in the BMC. So if you keep doing it by the phone, those things never, if you call up an officer directly, those things never
Mm.
come to light. So it's best to always put it
And there
down
is no
in writing.
reference for it if you want to follow
There's no
up on it.
reference number.
Correct.
So for
Mm.
following up and tracking, what happens is if you have a tracking number, you can go back to the website, you can track your complaint.
Mm.
So of course, that system also is not a working system. Like
Mm.
in a week or two, it would have reached even the municipal commissioner's desk without him seeing it, and your complaint could be closed. So
Mm.
it is somewhere the system also does not work. They
Mm.
have such good ideas and ways of doing it, whether they've copied it from other countries or whatever. They have the intent, but the thing is, the implementation is never good.
Right.
So we need to have a more integrated app which will have everything in one place, where we can just open the app, do whatever we have to, and shut the app. Not have 10 things on our phone.
Mm.
So this becomes a more user friendly kind of thing. So the about the debris, the solution is just passing on this information, teaching people how to dispose it,
Mm.
encouraging them to get the debris disposed in the correct manner. So this would be my appeal to people who have got
Mm.
construction debris. I, See, minimizing the construction in the city is now largely dependent on the BMC. We have no choice.
Mm.
There are a lot of things that is going wrong with the building proposal department, as in they are passing so many things, so many proposals.
Mm.
The main thing about their proposals that they've got these control regulations that are governing all the construction work. So if you have a certain deficiency in your building, you can apply for concessions, and then those concessions you just pay a premium, and
Mm.
magically everything disappears. So like suppose like you don't have enough open space, you
Mm.
cannot provide it, or you don't have enough place for a fire brigade to go down, you can apply to the commissioner, and the municipal commissioner can waive those particular things, and you can continue to build and construct, and you may not have that much of area, but you can pay a premium like a penalty, and it's like an official
Mm.
bribe, and you can get get the work passed. So the whole thing system is designed such that whatever space you have can be constructed on.
Mm.
So these things, now when you have something which is just a small plot which is not even buildable, and you
Right.
have given an architect or a builder or whoever the option to build 100% on that plot, so what are you doing to the city? There is no way that
Right.
the water, rainwater, or anything, and then you're talking about rainwater harvesting. But the water which is just run out, water which just falls on your compound, which you are not going to harvest, you would have technically at some point in some place at least gone back into the earth. So
Mm.
these things are not happening at all. So the thing is that debris is one thing, but the thing is that this amount of construction is controlled by the BMC. So the more that is dug up and concreted, the more debris we're going to have
Correct.
when it's pulled
Correct.
down.
Correct. I mean, I wanted to kind of also bring your attention towards, now that we are in at the end of August and starting of September, we're gonna have like a series of festivals coming up, like, and we have found, earlier we also have written something about how festivals are one of the biggest are the times when we generate a lot of waste at individual or society level, like, whether we have a public celebration or so there are organizations that kind of uh, um try to nudge people to use better quality stuff, or like disposable stuff or degradable stuff and all that. So so what do you really think we could do? And because it's gonna go on from from September
August to
all
the
the
end of
way
the year.
till, yeah, till the end of the year.
August to the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, how do you really see
So
it?
Die Handi kind of basically kicks off the entire thing, and then
Correct.
it continues, and then it
Till
goes. And there are many festivals from all communities that are generating a lot of waste. So the other thing is, BMC can put strictures on everybody,
mm,
that these are the rules what you will have to follow, and you have to, I know in some cases, like in the case of the Bandra and I am not sure, I think even for the Ganesh Pandals,
mm,
they have given them strict instructions that they have to be able to dispose their own waste and to then segregate waste. But in the case of like the Bandra that's like a very wide thing. You can't really it's very difficult to monitor, and there's maybe a lot of generation of mixed waste.
mm,
But if it is on a person's on a particular property that is happening, the road, even the stalls, I mean, they can be taught, but mostly it's always driveways. There are
mm,
very, the food stalls can be given these directions of
mm,
segregating and handing it over to the BMC. But actually involve a lot of effort.
mm.
So it will again be like, you try this year, you try next year, and then the fourth year down the line, maybe you would have a lot more success. But
Yeah,
you need to begin somewhere.
right.
You need to start implementing. Like I already know that they do collect an extra amount for the collection of waste that is generated in bulk by properties who are having this kind of a festival happening. So
Okay.
they do have a collection charge.
Mm.
They do charge them a lump sum, but at the end of the day, all that is not segregated and would go to the
To the
landfill.
landfill,
Now, in
right?
the case of flower offerings, so BMC is collecting that separately from overall
Mm,
religions, and during this time, and mostly Ganesh and the Mount Mary's festival,
mm.
they are generating a lot of floral tributes.
Floral waste, yeah.
So those floral tributes are being taken by BMC, and it's being composted separately. They call them Nirmalya, or I think
Yes, yes. Mm,
the Hindi word is. So basically, that is being done already by them and very successfully, and that's
mm,
a great initiative. So these are the things
yeah,
that never get known. So
correct.
the thing is that people always think that they don't do anything. They do a lot, but they don't advertise anything. So
Mm,
the thing is that they always come across that they are useless.
mm,
But there are some things that are going on, projects that are going on, and it's been going on for years. I know
mm,
that this basically has been going on for almost 20 years.
mm,
But nobody is aware that there is an effort on their part to do it.
mm,
Like one of the ward officers had sent me for some training in Powai. Somebody from
mm,
some Srinivasan had come from the
mm,
south, and he was showcasing the segregation, and he was telling us about his area, how they did it, and how they achieved it. Zero waste.
mm.
Now it's an ideal situation, zero waste.
Yeah.
Okay, but you need dedicated people to push and people to work for it at ground level, people who may not even be able to be paid. So how do you get that in the city where everybody is working? So you need to get like-minded people only to get
Mm,
such a
mm,
project over. So the thing is, it is not like they don't know the problems. They
mm,
themselves are having these kind of experiences, and they're getting training done. So, but the thing is, at the end, the implementation is not there. The
mm,
will in some to some extent is there, but they don't know and they can't deliver. So
mm,
that really needs a lot of work on their part.
mm,
And I feel basically if they themselves are doing it, they will be able to come up
mm.
with better solutions.
I think this is so multi-layered, right? I mean, when it comes to like when Praja did the report on the biggest generator of waste, and it turned out to be food waste, and food waste is probably the easiest to actually manage if we all did
Decompose.
it, right? To decompose, yeah. So I think there are so many levels to this. I mean, what we can do individually, what we can do as a maybe one lane, one society, and then what the BMC does overall, I think. But Lillian, I mean, any final thoughts about because it's such a vast topic. I mean, we obviously can't cover everything in one
So
session. But,
about food waste, I just tell you a bit about food
hmm,
waste. Since they have also that's the most that's real large volume.
yeah.
That waste is is definitely controlled by you and me.
Right.
Either we don't shop that much, we
Correct.
cook what we need,
Right.
and we even order what we want.
Right.
If we don't just over order, and if
Right.
we over order, you eat it for the next meal. There's nothing
Mm.
wrong in that. Okay,
Mm.
there's somebody next door who may not even have a square meal. Either you give it to them,
Yeah.
or you eat it yourself, consume it yourself. So if it is coming from restaurants, then they need to be really strict about that,
Mm.
because that is bulk generation.
Mm.
And people then should start either plating up less food
Mm.
and giving it to people, or give them the option to pack and take it home, which I think
Mm.
most restaurants do that.
Yeah.
But I think, in some restaurants, I think in Japan and things, they actually penalize if you waste.
Mm.
So you order, you have to finish everything on your plate,
Right.
and their portions are reasonably small, not too large. So you have to finish it, and you will finish it. So
Mm.
it's a way of not generating waste. But these are all, again, things that are in your mind. And you say, I'll go to this restaurant, I get a big portion, three of us will be able to eat from it. Yes. But will the fourth person who's not eating from it, will you throw that out? Will it
Mm.
go back? So, we have to be a little judicial in what we're doing. And
Right.
to the city, I would just say, you need to understand how the system works, what's there in the system for you, give it your all. If you want to be a
Mm.
Mumbaiker, you need to make sure that you are part of the solution, not part of the problem. And if
Mm.
you find somebody who's part of the problem, try to convince them this
Mm.
is how it should be done. Come on board with us. We'll give you the assistance, we'll give you the guidance, give you the numbers, and let's make the city better.
Right. Right. No, thank you so much, Lillian. I think, as we embark on a 4 month long festival season, I think this is a good reminder to kind of be careful about what we consume, what we order, how we package it, how we dispose it, and all of that. I mean, something as simple as, having 10 people at home and not bringing plastic plates, instead of that, serving in steel plates, or, glass plates, or whatever it is, like, basically not dumping it in the waste bin. I think something as simple as that could also, uh, I think every little bit counts here. So,
It will
yeah,
be impactful.
it
It
will
will
be
be impactful.
impactful. Yeah, yeah. No, thank you so much for this
Thank
conversation.
you. My pleasure.
And yeah, and if there's anything that we should follow up on, please do alert us. We'll be happy to take up the issue. And
Definitely. Thank you so much,
yeah,
Prachi.
thank you. Thank you.